I was halfway through reheating leftover pizza when my phone buzzed with a text from my wife. Can you come to my office at 6? Important. Andrew will be there too. I stared at the screen for a second, the microwave humming behind me. My wife, Olivia, worked at a big marketing firm downtown. Andrew was her boss, the guy she talked about constantly.
Andrew thinks I'm brilliant.
Andrew says I'm ready for the next level. Andrew needs me on this project. I wasn't jealous, at least not at first. I was proud. I'm a high school history teacher. Big clients and corporate politics aren't my world. If my wife wanted that ladder, I wanted her to climb it. But she'd never asked me to come to her office after hours before. And definitely not with her boss. I typed back, "Sure. Everything okay?" 3 dots popped up, then vanished, then popped up again. Finally, "Yeah, just important. Don't be late." I finished my pizza without tasting it. Traffic into the city was heavy, the kind that turns the highway into a parking lot. I had too much time to think. We'd had some tension lately, arguments about money, about the future, about kids. We'd been married 5 years. I wanted children. She always said, soon, then changed the subject. Maybe she was ready now. Maybe this was good news. Her building was one of those sleek glass towers where the lobby smells like polished stone and expensive coffee. I signed in, rode the elevator up to the 12th floor, and tried to ignore the knot in my stomach. Her office door was cracked when I reached it. I heard low voices inside. Andrew's laugh. Olivia's quieter reply. I knocked softly and stepped in. Olivia sat at a small round table, not behind her desk. She wore one of her sharp blazers, hair pinned back, but her makeup looked tired, like it had been on too long. Andrew sat beside her, not across from her, in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. "Hey," I said, forcing a smile. "What's going on?" Olivia didn't stand up. "Thanks for coming, Matt." She only uses my full first name when she's nervous or rehearsed. I pulled out a chair and sat, looking between them. Andrew straightened his tie. "I'll get right to it. Olivia is a top candidate for a major promotion, executive strategy director. It comes with a substantial raise and long-term incentives. But there's a complication." He said it like we were discussing a line item on a budget, not my life. "A complication," I repeated. "Okay." Olivia inhaled slowly, eyes glued to the table. "The partners want more visibility in leadership," she said. "They like stability, family images. One of the factors they consider is whether a senior executive presents as settled." "Rooted. Settled," I said. "We've been married 5 years. How much more settled do they want?" Andrew cleared his throat. "They're very big on optics. They want leaders who project growth, longevity, family values. In short," he glanced at Olivia, and she finished for him. "They favor women who already have kids," she said quietly, "or who are about to." The room felt smaller. "You could have told me that at home," I said. She finally looked up. Her eyes were shiny but dry. "I've been trying to figure out how. It's not just that, Matt. They're pushing this whole brand story thing. Successful working mom, pushing boundaries, inspiring clients. They want someone who represents that narrative." "Let me guess," I said slowly. "Someone like you." Andrew nodded. "She's perfect for it. Talent, experience, drive. The only box she doesn't check is motherhood." I leaned back. "We've talked about kids," I said. "You kept saying we should wait until things stabilize. Now you're telling me the only way to stabilize is to have a kid." Olivia's voice dropped. "The partners made it clear. Being a mom would all but lock the promotion in. They've already hinted that if I start a family soon, it'll look very good in the next review." Cycle. I let out a short, humorless laugh. "So your company wants to micromanage our family planning now?" Andrew lifted his palms like he wanted to sound reasonable. "No one is forcing anything, Matt. We're just explaining the reality. In a competitive field, optics matter. If Olivia wants this role, and she's earned it, timing is important." "And why am I here?" I asked. To sign some kind of consent form? Olivia flinched. Matt, come on. No, really, I said. Clearly you've already had this whole conversation before inviting me. She went silent. That told me enough. Finally, she spoke, each word slow and careful. There's one more piece. Andrew shifted in his chair, suddenly interested in the conference room artwork. Say it, I said. Olivia's fingers twisted the edge of a napkin. The partners, they like seeing leadership as one big family. Tight-knit, unified. Andrew's wife can't have children. The partners know that. They see him as this devoted leader with a missing piece.
Isterte her.
What does that have to do with us? She swallowed. They think, if we had a baby and Andrew was godfather, it would look powerful. Symbolic. The firm loves that kind of story. But Andrew suggested something more direct. Every hair on my arms stood up. Andrew finally stepped in, smooth corporate tone now sounding like nails on glass. You have to understand, Matt. Investors like clear narratives. A baby linked to senior leadership sends a strong message of continuity. I stared at him. Linked how exactly? Silence. Jenna, my own wife, finally whispered, they want the baby to be Andrew's. The room spun. For a second, I actually thought I'd misheard her. My mind tried to rearrange the words into something sane. They didn't move. Andrew's baby. Another man's child. For her promotion. I let out a slow breath. Run that by me again. Olivia spoke faster, like speed would soften it. It's not just about the baby. It's about security. Andrew is basically guaranteed to be with the firm until retirement. If the child is biologically his, it ties the narrative together, mentor and protege, united families, long-term commitment. The partners love it. They think it's progressive. Progressive, I repeated. That's one word for it. Andrew leaned forward. Look, Matt, this is unconventional, sure, but it's just biology. You'd still be the legal father. On paper, in practice, Olivia would raise the child with you. But to the firm, to investors, the connection to leadership would be obvious. So let me get this straight, I said. You want to sleep with my wife? Get her pregnant. And I'm supposed to raise your kid so your board can feel warm and fuzzy about their profit margins? When you say it like that, Andrew started. That's literally what you just described. I cut in. Olivia's eyes brimmed with tears now. Matt, listen, please. This promotion would change everything. We could pay off the house. We could get out of debt. We could give our future kids. Our kids, I interrupted. Or your bosses? She flinched. They would still be ours. You and me. You'd be on the birth certificate. No one outside this room ever has to know. I stared at her, feeling something break, slow and deep. You would actually do that? Her chin trembled. I didn't say I would. I said it's an option. Andrew added, a strategic decision. It's a way to secure your family's financial future. Matt, think about it. You're a teacher. Salaries are tight. Benefits aren't what they used to be. This could give your family stability for life. My voice came out low and steady. My family already has something more valuable than your salary bump. Integrity. Olivia's tears finally fell. You're being old-fashioned. I'm being married, I said. Or I thought I was. Andrew looked at his watch, as if this was running longer than he wanted. We don't need an answer tonight, he said. But we do need one soon. This window won't stay open forever. He stood like the meeting was over. I'll give you two a moment, he said, slipping out of the room. The door clicked shut. Olivia reached for my hand. I didn't move. Matt, she whispered. Please try to see the bigger picture. The bigger picture, I said. Of me pretending I'm okay raising your boss's kid while everyone at work claps for you? It's not like that. It's exactly like that. She swallowed. This is my shot. I've worked my whole life for this. You know how hard I've pushed, how I've been overlooked. I finally have a chance to secure something real for us, for our future children. You teach about history, you know the world is cruel. People with power don't wait around. And you want to get in with them so badly you're willing to trade our marriage for it. She shook her head fiercely. I'm not trading our marriage. I'm expanding our options. I promise you would still be my husband, my partner. This would just be a professional sacrifice. A professional sacrifice you want me to make, I said. Not you. You get the title and the applause. I get to smile and pretend I'm not reminded every day that my wife had a child with her boss. She dropped my hand. You're not even trying to understand. And you're not even trying to hear how insane this is, I said. We sat in silence for a moment. The hum of the building's air system filled the room. Outside the glass walls, people walked by with laptops and lattes, completely unaware that, inside, my life was being disassembled like a budget line. Finally, she said quietly, I need you to think about it. Really think. If you love me, if you love the idea of a family, you'll at least consider it. I stood slowly. If you loved me, I said, you never would have let that idea survive long enough to bring it to me. Her eyes followed me, wide and wounded. Where are you going? Home, I said, to remember what respect feels like. Don't make any rash decisions, she said, desperate now. Just sleep on it. I turned at the door. The only rash decision in this room is yours. Then I walked out, leaving her there with her promotion fantasies and her carefully curated ambition. Driving home that night, I kept replaying the conversation. Her words, Andrew's smug smile, the way they talked about a child like it was a prop in a marketing campaign. The longer I thought about it, the more one thing became clear. They hadn't asked me out of respect. They'd asked me because they assumed I would fold. They saw me as the quiet husband, the nice guy, the teacher who'd be grateful just to be included. They didn't know me at all, because I was never going to agree to raise another man's baby for a promotion. But I also wasn't going to scream, throw punches, or make a dramatic scene. No, if they wanted to play corporate chess with my life, I was going to show them what real strategy looked like. I didn't know the full plan yet, but by the time they realized what I was doing, it would be too late for both of them. And the best part? They'd be the ones who handed me every piece I needed. Olivia didn't come home that night until after midnight. I was on the couch, TV off, just staring at the dark. She walked in quietly, set her bag down, and stood there like someone waiting for a verdict. Are we still married? She asked. That depends, I said. Are you still considering that option? Her jaw tightened. I'm not saying I want it. I'm saying it might be the only way I ever get a real shot. At what cost? I asked. She crossed her arms. You don't get it, Matt. You don't know what it's like fighting your way up in that company. I've been passed over for years. They pat me on the head, call me promising, then promote some guy who plays golf with the partners. This is the first time they've actually offered me something concrete. They didn't offer you something, I said. They offered him something and asked you to pay with your body and me to pay with my sanity. That's not fair. Neither is their request. She sank into the armchair. I'm tired of being the one who always sacrifices, Matt. Your job is safe. Your schedule is predictable. I'm the one juggling late nights, travel, endless networking. And what do I have to show for it? A decent salary and a pat on the back.
Esther here.
So your answer is to build our life on a lie? She looked away. Life is already built on power games and lies. At least this lie would pay off. That sentence landed like a brick. Let me be clear, I said finally. I will never agree to this. Not now. Not after I sleep on it. Not ever. Her eyes flashed. You're really willing to throw away our future because you're hung up on DNA? No, I said. I'm willing to walk away because you'd even consider a plan where your boss is the father of our first child. We went in circles for a while. She cried. I didn't. She accused me of not believing in her dreams. I pointed out that her dream now apparently included her boss and a baby that wasn't mine. At some point, we both went to bed, backs turned to each other, a canyon between us. Over the next week, the pressure started. Andrew called twice just to check in. Olivia mentioned the promotion every other sentence. She dropped phrases like, our financial security, and our kids having opportunities we never had. I shut down every time.
No, irrapata.
I won't be part of that. But something in her eyes changed. First, it was frustration. Then it was calculation. One Thursday night, she looked at me across the dinner table and said, very quietly, what if I don't need your permission? The fork stopped halfway to my mouth. What does that mean? It means, she said, carefully cutting her food, I'm my own person. If I decide to have a baby, that's my decision. No law says I can't. True, I said slowly. No law says you can't. But there's also no law that says I have to stay. She shrugged, but her hand trembled slightly. We'd figure it out. Over the next few weeks, she worked later than ever. Trips multiplied. Strategy retreats. Client summits. Leadership dinners. I stopped asking questions. Instead, I bought a separate journal and started keeping notes. Dates, times, conversations. Every mention of the plan. I also scheduled a quiet meeting with an employment attorney a friend recommended. I didn't know exactly what I was building toward yet, but I knew one thing. If Olivia and Andrew were going to treat this like a transaction, I was going to document every single step of it. The lawyer listened, eyebrows climbing higher with each new detail. Let me get this straight, she said. Your wife's company is encouraging her to conceive a child with her boss, so he can be the biological father, then expecting you to raise the child as your own, while they both benefit professionally. That's the gist of it, I said. She leaned back. That's not just unethical. That's a walking lawsuit. We're talking hostile environment, coercion, potential discrimination, retaliation, the works. If you can prove they tied her advancement to this arrangement, the firm is in serious trouble. I'm not trying to cash out, I said. I just don't want to be trapped. Then do two things, she said. First, protect yourself financially. Separate accounts, track every shared asset. Quietly prepare for divorce if it comes to that. Second, gather evidence. Not in a sneaky, illegal way, no hacking, no recording private calls in states where that's not allowed. But emails, texts, documents, any conversation that happens in a meeting where they know you're listening. Fair game. I walked out of her office with a folder of advice and something I hadn't felt in weeks. Control. I couldn't control Olivia's choices. I could control how blindsided I'd be by the fallout. A month later, the bomb finally dropped. She came home one Saturday morning, calmer than I'd seen her in weeks. She made coffee. She smiled at me in a way that felt almost nostalgic. I took a test, she said. I didn't need more context. And, I asked,
I'm pregnant.
The word hung in the air like smoke. I swallowed. How far along? About 5 weeks, she said. Doctor confirmed yesterday. I did the math automatically. 5 weeks back lined up perfectly with her last overnight strategy retreat with Andrew. The one where she left an address I'd never seen and came home with a necklace that the team bought her. I stared at the table. Is it mine? She hesitated, and that silence was louder than any confession. Matt, she said, reaching across the table for my hand. Does it matter? You'd be the father. You'd be on the birth certificate. You'd raise this baby. Biology doesn't define love. I pulled my hand back. You didn't answer the question. Tears filled her eyes. I don't know for sure yet. That was enough. I stood slowly. So you went ahead with it. Even after I said no. She started crying. I didn't want to lose my chance. They basically guaranteed the promotion. We'll be set for life. I thought once it was real, once you saw the baby, you'd come around. I almost laughed. Came out sounding more like a cough. You thought you could force me into acceptance. You love kids, she whispered. I know you do. Once you hold your child. Not my child, I said quietly. His. That broke something in her. Please, Matt, don't leave. Not now. I need you. The baby will need you. I looked at her, really looked at her. The woman I'd married was still there somewhere. The girl who'd painted the tiny apartment walls with me and argued over which cheap couch to buy. The woman who'd once cried because I'd made her pancakes shaped like hearts. That version of her would never have walked into this. But the version in front of me had. I could have walked then. No one would have blamed me. But as my lawyer had said, impulsive moves help them, not me. So I made a different decision. I sat back down slowly. Okay. She blinked. Okay. I'll stay, I said. I'll accept this. We raised the baby. I'll act like it's mine. We'll play the happy family. You get your promotion. Andrew gets whatever story he wants to tell himself. Her shoulders sagged in relief. Thank you. I promise you won't regret this. We'll have everything we dreamed of. I looked her dead in the eyes. You're right, I said softly. I won't regret it. Because I knew something she didn't. Acceptance doesn't always mean surrender. Sometimes it means you're giving someone enough rope to wrap themselves in their own mess while you quietly build your escape route. After she went upstairs, humming as she opened pregnancy tracking apps, I sat at the kitchen table, phone in hand, and sent one message to my attorney. Heard you. I'm in. We moved to phase 2. Over the next few months, while Olivia glowed and Andrew bragged and the firm circled them like proud parents, I did exactly what they expected from me. I smiled. I went to appointments. I painted a nursery. I listened to speeches about sacrifice for the family, all while carefully collecting every email, every congratulatory message that tied her promotion to this pregnancy, every note where Andrew hinted at our legacy, every slip where someone in leadership said too much in front of me, assuming I was too grateful or too weak to ever push back. They thought they'd forced me to accept and raise his baby. They had no idea I was quietly turning their little strategy into the biggest professional disaster of their lives. And when the time was right, when the baby arrived and their confidence peaked, when Olivia had everything she thought she wanted, that was when my revenge would land. By the time Olivia entered her 3rd trimester, the company treated her like royalty. New office, new parking spot, a team of assistants. Everyone whispered about the future leadership family. And of course, Andrew hovered around her like he owned the air she breathed. But while they were celebrating, I was finishing what I'd started. My attorney filed everything quietly. Formal complaints, documented coercion, emails tying pregnancy to the promotion, witness statements, HR recordings. All of it routed through the right channels at the right time. And then, one ordinary Tuesday morning, the hammer dropped. The firm's board launched an internal investigation. HR froze both Olivia's and Andrew's access. Their company phones were confiscated. Lawyers got involved. Employees whispered. Investors panicked. By lunch, Andrew was escorted out of the building. By evening, he was terminated for misconduct. Olivia called me from the parking lot, crying so hard she could barely breathe. Matt, they suspended me. They're saying I violated ethics codes. What's happening? What did you do? I didn't yell. I didn't brag. I didn't even sound angry. I did what any husband would do, I said. I protected myself. Silence. And then, softly, Are you leaving me? I left the moment you chose your boss over our marriage, I said. The rest was just paperwork. 3 months later, the baby was born. DNA confirmed what we both already knew. She moved in with her sister. I moved on with my life. Peacefully. Cleanly. With no regrets. The company settled with me quietly. Enough to buy a house outright and build a future on my own terms. Funny, really? They tried to force me into a life I didn't choose. But in the end, they handed me the freedom I never knew I needed. The revenge wasn't raising another man's child. The revenge was watching them lose everything, while I walked away with my dignity intact. Asterisk asterisk.